and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and today we are starting up a new thing here on the channel, and that is I'm going to share with you what the Kumi number is from friendshipbracelets.net. In this case, this is number 534. That is for the Kumi, in case you're interested in making your loops the way that I do. I've asked my wife to actually use already existing patterns, and that was the one she chose for this. The pattern for the bracelet, though, is 109456. So if you're trying to make the bracelet, that's the one you would want. Again, from friendshipbracelets.net. This one, I have to admit, there wasn't an easy way to do segmenting, so I did a lot of stuff to try to make it so that way maybe I would get longer rows going to the right, because that's the knot that I favor more. But I was kind of playing around with a little bit, trying to see if there was any kind of way of getting some segmenting out of it, and not really. You know, there's little bits and pieces that sort of come together. But overall, it's not too terrible. Just over an hour, like an hour and 2 minutes of actual making time. Of course, there was a break in between to sip some coffee or you know, just relax just a moment in between. But that said, it really is pretty cute. The pattern itself kind of makes me think of some like Celtic knots that I've seen before, and I could see like expanding this pattern out to turn this piece of whatever it is. I could see turning that into a Celtic design. Obviously that would have to be much bigger. So I don't know. We'll weigh that out, and that's a possible future thing. But it is cute. It turns out that you get 2 small pieces and 3 of this main part of the whole design overall. So it's well balanced. It did turn out like that part was fine. And the string usage wasn't bad. There wasn't like anything where I was like fearful that the reds were going to run out or anything like that. They got shorter for sure, but no, I don't think that there's any worries. Again, in case you're new here, I cut my string in thirds, so as a result, it's pretty long. Like 1/3 of a skein is over like 2.5 meters in length. That's really long, and it just makes it so that way I know that whatever I'm making, I'm not going to run out. So that's kind of my advice to anybody doing it. If you're really just starting and you're making smaller things, then obviously you can cut your strings into quarters. That also works. But yeah, there'll come a point where you're getting into the more complicated designs and it uses a lot of string, and yeah, 1/3 really works, and it leaves a little bit of string left over, so that can go into future projects and stuff. There's plenty of designs where you'll just use one of a particular color, and yeah, that's what I've discovered so far. And that's why I like to share this stuff with you guys, because I've kind of done this stuff for a while now, and yeah, I know that some people are like have their own methods or whatever. But I can tell you from experience, like I can tell you things like using a clip and just whatever kind of board that you have handy works probably a whole lot better than trying to tape something down or trying to use a water bottle or, yeah, pillows. I've seen people pinning their bracelet to a pillow, but the reality is if you can clip it, you can shift it upwards. Now on my clip here, right, it's the, I think they call it a bullnose clip. If you take and you find that, you know, like you can't slide it up anymore, you can fold it over and then clip, and now you got 2 points of bracelet being held, so it'll actually hold much stronger. and continue on, and just, you know, just by folding the bracelet around the board, it just works. It's a really easy way of doing it. I definitely say that there's a lot to benefit from doing it this way. So there you go. Yeah, so that's, you can see the whole first one done, and then we're into the second. So the second one will be the middle one. So before I forget, let me just thank my YouTube members who make this possible. Their support helps to get the string and make the place here pretty, and yeah, I really do appreciate all of the support that they give. If you want your name added to the list, it's easy. There's a join button down there. I think it's like right by the subscribe. It's like $4 a month or whatever that is in your currency. And yeah, it's a great way of helping out the channel and keeping all of the tutorials coming. Yeah, so you can see, like, I'm just doing this little swatch of like two knots, because this is like the wider spot of it. And then like I'll bring in the long right hand row, and then it goes back to just doing single. It was kind of like the best I could kind of come up with for this thing. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I say maybe there's a better way of doing it, but I don't think so. I really did try my best to find a cohesive way of making this pattern work for me. And the bracelet turned out nice and straight, you know, there's no jagged edge or anything weird, or, you know, so yeah. And I sped this up quite a bit, right? This is like 5 times the normal speed. So I sped it up quite a bit because I knew there wasn't a whole lot to really talk about, because it is sort of, it is what it is. There's nothing super fancy about it. There's not a lot of like zigzag knots going on that make it more difficult. Yeah, there are a few. You do have to know how to do all 4 knots, but that said, there's not an awful lot of them. Like this white one will turn when it gets to the end there. That was the thing. But yeah, it is a very pretty bracelet. Mind you, this is a very dark red, and the light color is the light pink. It's barely even noticeable that it is pink on the camera. I think the white balance in the camera is really trying hard to make that turn out to look like it's white, but it's really not. So yeah, it is really pretty though. I'm looking at it in case you're wondering. And I really do like the Kumi they got made with it. Like that's another, like I said, like this, you don't have to do Kumis for your loop, but it certainly makes it look a little more refined, like just a little bit sharper. If the strings had been longer, if I have really long tails, sometimes I like to Kumi out the tails of the bracelet. Yes, that takes longer, but it is a cool look. It's kind of fun. But I don't think there's quite enough. I probably could, but then the tail would be rather short, and I like to make sure that the bracelet can fit just about anybody. Sometimes longer tails make it so that we can fit around a bigger wrist. So there's that. But yeah, the whole idea of like sharing the Kumis is kind of, in case you guys see a pattern that you like, you'll be able to go and do it as well. In the past, my wife was just coming up with designs on her own and came up with some doozies. So there's a real possibility that in the future, we might see some of her patterns coming over onto friendshipbracelets.net, because she's good like that. She really has come up with a lot of patterns over the years, and I don't know why we never really thought about doing it before. We always kind of kept it under wraps that, you know, she makes her own patterns, and, you know, but it seems like if she's coming up with something new, something that's not been done, the ability to share it with the community just seems kind of like the right thing to do. And it didn't seem like the kind of thing like to try to add to my webpage. I mean, I kind of almost could have, but like, I don't know. It's the way that my webpage is set up. It would kind of put breaks in between teaching about the bracelets, and it wouldn't be necessarily easy to find the right kind of patterns. It just doesn't make sense. So going with easy. Hang on. Still enjoying my coffee here. Yeah, so you can see, like, I just scoot the whole bracelet up, it folds over the back, flips it down. It works so well, guys, honestly. If you haven't already done it, and mind you, a lot of times the boards I use are like from the art shop. They've got these like watercolor boards. Those work really, really well. The one I have here was supposed to be like a thing to, like, if you're working at a library, it was like this plastic thing for like kind of shielding your little space so that way you weren't distracted by other people. It seemed kind of like the size that I was looking for. And then I used some paper, I can't think of the brand. It's a Japanese paper that is sort of yellow in color because it makes it easier on the eyes. If your paper is so bright white, it's not Tumei River, it's the other one. Midori? Oh wait, end of the thing. I'll tell you about it again later. But yeah, here's the end of the bracelet, guys. Big reveal. And I'm sorry. As always, don't get your strings in a bunch.